You're invited to a live online satsang with Maharishikaa Preeti this Sunday. To know more, click the link in the description below.
Namaskar, Maharishikaa ji.
Namaskar, Karin.
In the family, we recently discussed being aware of matter and what impact that has to our daily life. Over many years, there seems to be less cleaning, less maintenance to do. When people take care of matter and are aware of the objects around, could it be that actually matter also develops some kind of repellent to dirt or something like that, that actually there is less cleaning to be done in a home where people are truly aware of matter? Is there such a thing?
Yes, there is. Yes. Even in dust particles, our atoms at play, they have a structure which is similar to the cosmos. It's all one thing actually. And if there is attention paid to matter, and when I say matter, I mean objects of all kinds. If there is attention paid to objects and certain rules of functioning with objects are applied, it impacts other objects. And so it would impact, for example, dust particles. The less black objects you have in a home, the less loss of energy in the system. Because that black absorbs energy. It absorbs more energy than a white surface would. A white surface reflects light. It's all a play of energy. That energy in those particles, in the dust, not just in visible particles, in the invisible particles as well. You even impact the occult world through how you function with objects. So less is more. The fewer objects you have, the more you can take care of them. The more you can take care of them, the less they attract entities, spirits, broken entities, all of that, all of the going-ons in the occult world, let's say. If you have a home where the corners are not stuffed with things, you create the ability for energy to flow around and move. If corners are blocked by objects, energy is unable to move in the same way, so it's slower. The whole thing is slower. It's more lazy. So energetically, a home like that will be more lazy. It depends on the colors that you use in the space also. The lighter the colors, the more energy in the space. The darker the colors, the more that energy is absorbed, including your own material, physical energy. And the more an object absorbs energy, the more it also attracts other objects to it, which could be dust particles or even smaller particles. So it's a play of light and energy that's going on all the time. And once you start training yourself to be aware of matter, and I mean everything. How many socks do you have in your drawer? How many kitchen cloths do you have? Is the space behind the dustbin cleaned? There has to be that first very radical approach to matter if a person wants to become a finder. And I remember speaking to you personally about this maybe 15 years ago, when you had to take everything, all of you at that time, each one was made to go and look at every object in their homes and to really hold it in your hand and say, do I need this? And if not, put it away now, not tomorrow. And gradually, what this results in is a lightening and uplifting of the very mood of the people in that home. Everything is lighter, everything is brighter. There's less strife. There are less problems. I'm not saying if everyone in a house wears black, that they are going to necessarily always be fighting, but the chances are higher. And each of the colors has their significance and their strengths, of course. I've written about that, I've spoken about it also. The placement of the objects, all of these things impact. They help you to know yourself better. They support the process of self-realization. So yes, it makes a huge difference, a huge difference. Yes.
Namaskar.
Namaskar, Karin.
Namaskar, Maria.
Namaskar, Maria.
Since the immersive in Zurich, I'm doing the practice and I'm clearing all the objects that I'm not using, following everything you said to me while I was there. And although the procedure feels quite liberating, at the same time, I experience mostly negative feelings, sorrow and fear and fatigue. And sometimes this feels like a wave attacking me. I was thinking you talking about the matter in another life, saying that there are all these occult energies residing in the matter. And I was wondering if I'm disturbing these energies, and I wanted to ask your guidance through this.
This is something quite common when someone starts to clear up their space, especially when there are objects that have been around for a long time, or objects that belong to their parents or their grandparents, old objects, family heirlooms, things like that. It can be very challenging, and exactly for the reason that you brought up, which you remember from a life, which is that there are, entities connected with almost all objects we have. Many of the ancient preferred to live with very few objects for this reason. So when you are clearing up and you feel this is not at all unusual, at least it's good to know that. And there are a few things that you can do. One of them is that when you finish clearing a certain area, don't do too much in a day, but when you finish clearing a certain area, you immediately take a shower. Water flowing over the body cleanses and purifies. And it's also a good idea to purify the space. In some cultures, like here in the Indian subcontinent, they clean and purify spaces with haldi, which is this yellow powder. And it's called haldi, Haldi. You can get it at an Indian store probably. It has very interesting properties regarding entities. So you can just mix it with water and sprinkle it around and wipe the spot. What that does is make it uninhabitable for many of these very, very tiny entities that attach themselves to objects. In general, it's not a good idea, to try to get rid of spirits and things like that, because they also have a right to be there. And if you try to interfere in their world, then you also face the consequences of their interference in yours. However, with clearing objects and clearing spaces, you have that right to clear your space materially. So you're not interfering in their space, you're just clearing up your space with the objects and wiping it clean with healthy water, or there are other things that people use when they're doing these kind of occult cleansing. But the most important thing is to actually wash yourself, and that depressive feeling immediately is washed away. So experiment with yourself and see how it works for you. It normally does succeed quite well. Yes.
Thank you. Namaskar.